Swastiastu. Hello everyone, introduce myself. My name is Nikoma Sinta Arana Iswari. In this video, I will explain a quantitative research. Quantitative research methods are that's really on the objective. Mixture means that main hermetical, synthetical analysis of data samples. Obtain choose synonyms, polls, tens, or the others research instrument to prove or the test hypothesis. So, professor in the research, there are the several research method in the quantitative research. Namely, number one, experimental research. It is a method used to find the effects of the certain treatment of the others under the control conditions, where to the compares the effects of the particular treatment with another's. Different treatment experience carried out by educational research aim to the test the influence of various parties, namely teaching techniques, curriculum organization, content, teaching program on the importance outcomes such as student academic achievement and the school climates. The variable mixture to determine the effects of and the experimental treatments. It usually referred to as the per-test and the PERT variable or the criterion variable. The control group contains a number of research subjects who will not receive certain treatment. And the experimental group is a group containing research subject who wish then be used a subject to be given special treatments. And the pre-test will be give before giving treatment. The pre-test will be given after giving certain treatment. Then pre-test and the post-test will be compared to the see whether there's in the insurance in the result after begin given treatment. And the random selection of the samples when the condition experience consider other steps of the randomization, namely is a random assessment of the individual of the sampling units to experimental treatment. Random assessment means that each sampling units a student, class, school, district, and has the chance of being in the experimental condition. And non-random, this main non-random sampling choose based on the subjective of the research for vertical descents. For the vertical experience are the experimentals determine the influence of two or the more independent variables. Others singly or the interesting with each others. On a dependent variable single case or the design is a case experiment is in the experiment the influence the invested study the single individual or models or the individual treats as the on a group single case experiment or will state research on the behavioral in the indication. And the example is like in the laboratory where we test using the method we find the result of the test. And then number two, research survey. Research survey use a survey that's a research sent to survey respondents. The data collected from the survey is then analyzed statistically to draw result conclusion. Characteristic that much survey have in the comments. Information, paper group or the describe some aspects restrict or the opinions, attitudes, before the knowledge of the population to which the group belongs. The main way of the collecting information is by asking question answer to this information is collected from samples, not from a sample of a very member of the population. There are four basic ways to collect data in a survey by administering the survey instrument in person or a group, by mail, by telephone, or by face-to-face interview. The main purpose of the survey is to describe the characteristic of the population. An example is the relationship between education and the job performance in the marketing fields. And then number three, casual comparative research. Casual comparative research is the study of a use and the effect relationship, just like a correlation research. Want to identify relationship between variables. Casual comparative research seeks to determine the charge of the concept of the pre-existing difference between or among group of individuals. The basic approach in the casual comparative it is tried by noting the difference between the group and the look for the possible cause of the question of the those difference. There are three types of the casual comparative research. Now this is the effect collaboration, cause cooperative, and the cause comparison, with difference their goals and the structure. If an experience takes a long time and is quite expensive to carry out, casual comparative study are the something used and the alternative. As in the correlative study, relationship can be interpreted in casual comparative study, but casual relationship cannot be fully determined, and the example is a comparative analysis of the financial performance of the several American banks during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, number four, and non-experimental research in a type of the research methods that does not have independent variable. So in this case, the research tests to observe the context with the phenomena of the analysis to obtain information. Descriptive research and a type of the research design the aim to describe and the characteristics poems on the situation or the topic without manipulating or changing. This approach seeks to the broad detail and the accurate who of what is the happenings. Rather than explaining why it is happening, describe research often influence collecting data through methods such as survey, observation, context analysis, or the analysis existing data. Measurements in descriptive research. The three up many types change treatment. For the example, standard six achievement, classroom observation, instrument attitude class, journals test, and interview test. The the description of the sample longitudinal studies involving observing and collecting data from the same group of the individual or the attendance offers and attendance periods. There are different types of the longitudinal descriptive or sample, each which is focused and of purpose. Here are the same common types. A threat study. There is study extreme change in particular variable or the set of variable in a sample of tens. The main goal is the identity turns or spares the course during the research. And B, a chart study. In a chart study, research follow a specific group of the individual charts who share similar characteristics of the experiences as being born in the same years of being exposed to certain event. The goals in the study how there's group a change of the development over time. And then number C, a panel study. In the panel study, the same educational and it is the survey in observation and motivation in the time. This approach allows researchers to examine change with the same group and study individual theories. Number D, chart-centered research is a cross-examination research data observed of the point in the time but from different a group or the at different stage of the developments. Chart-sectional research study are the use harboring the preference of a various factor and the identified potentials are for the future investigation. Number E, customer station service survey and the restaurant send a service to customer to gather feedback and describe their level of the satisfaction with a food service and the overall dining experience. And an example such a non-experimental research is the study of the effects of alcohol on the human body, since it would be unusual to give drink to research subject. This design was to the expand the research. Number 5, correlation design. The definition of the correlation is research that refers to research one's aim to find relationship between variants such the use of correlation statistic. The type of the correlation are a positive correlation is a relationship between two variables that move in the same of the same direction. And then number B, negative correlation is a relationship between two variables when asked in the one variable is the associated with a discrete in the another variable or the yours called side relationship in its receiver's direction between these variables. And then number C, there is not a correlation. There is not correlation between there are two variables. Change in the one variable do not actually mean different variables. The characteristic of the correlation research are the number 1, non-experimental, meaning research do not need to manipulate variable with the scientific methods to agree or disagree with the hypothesis. In the research, we only make sure and observe the relationship between variables. Number 2, looking back. This research only look back at the historical data and even in the past. Number 3, dynamic. This research is never contains and always change. Two variables that have a negative correlation in the past can have a positive correlation in the future due to variation of factor. And then number 4, data collection. The choice of the correlation research is that the research cannot manipulative of the variable involved. It does not matter how or where the variable is measured. A research can observe participants in a closed public and informal research. Use two data collection methods in the collect information in the correlational research. Number 5, naturalistic observation. Naturalistic is a way of the collecting data in which people's behavior is observed in their natural experience, where the usually this method is a type of field research. This called main research mix of serve people in the grocery store, at the movie theaters, playground, or seminar place. Number 6, asynchronous data. Another approach to correlation data is the use the archival data. Archival data information is data has been previously collected by conducting seminar research. For the example, correlation research is the corrects out the examine what here's the heat level of social inequality in the city is related to a share in the number of the crime excesses, and the correlational research that examine the level of the population destiny and the mobility of the interaction that occurs between communicative. Okay, that's all the video. I will close with Paramasanti. Santi 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 Om.